Good morning, everyone. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com with your morning market outlook for Monday, May 11th, 2026. Well, it's awfully quiet out there this morning. Stock index futures are mixed. Nasdaq's higher, the S&P and the Dow and the Russell all trading slightly lower on Monday morning. Now, crude oil is trading above 95. It got all the way to just about hitting 100 overnight. Now, last week at this time, we saw the price of crude oil head down towards $90, and it even tipped below it a little bit. But for most of last week, we were trading around $95. So here we are waking up on Monday morning, trading above that level, looking to see if we can get back down below 95, which I think is the tipping point at the moment. And of course, if we break out above 100, that's not going to be good for the stock market. Now, while crude oil and natural gas are trading higher this morning, gold is down in the pre market on Monday morning. Now, the big winner last week was semiconductors, up over 11%. The big loser was energy stocks on both sides of the border. In both cases, we didn't see enough selling to generate weekly sell signals. We certainly have a lot of daily sell signals in the energy sector. Looking at the VIX, no change for the VIX for the S&P 500 on Friday, looking for a close on Monday above 1849. Now, the VIX for the Nasdaq did trade above the upper channel line on Friday, but did not close above it. So we're pretty close to seeing a buy signal in the VIX for the Nasdaq. And so you can see some traders in the technology sector are getting prepared for a pullback by bidding up the price of options. Looking at the Russell 2000, we're still on a sell signal, no change there on Monday morning. Now, there is a short VIX trade. The problem with that, and it's certainly working right now, but it's not going to go too far. That's because once the VIX gets down to a certain level, it really doesn't go much further. So the VIX is never going to spike to the downside. It will spike to the upside, but not to the downside. If that were to happen, that would be very unusual. So it's a lot harder to make uh, money trading the VIX on the short side than it is on the long side. The problem with the long side is those trades don't usually last very long themselves. Looking at the major index ETFs and starting off with the iShares for the TSX 60, we needed to close above $50.07 on Friday. We closed at $50.09. So again, I'm not really rushing into a trade up here. We're right in the middle of the range that started back in early April. And we really need to break out of that range before the market's going to get too excited about, well, there's my dog back. Before the market gets overly excited about getting back in the Canadian market at this time. Now, the Vanguard Canada Total Market ETF, we were looking for a close above 69.11. We closed at 69.32. So again, that is a new buy signal. Again, I'm going to wave that off this morning and see how the day progresses and see how it closes at the end of the day. And we may have to take action on Tuesday, but we're not going to take any action on Monday. Now, again, we're in the middle of a range. It's not defined by our price targets, but you can see that we tried to to retest the high from back in February and April, and we couldn't do that. So we're showing a little weakness there that the market may have already peaked. Looking at the US market, the Vanguard Total Market ETF made a slightly higher high on Friday. You can see how small that bar is, so a very quiet day. Very quiet day for the Dow. The Dow is still having trouble getting through 500 on the ETF and 50,000 on the index. There's a new high for the S&P 500 on Friday. Again, a very small bar. If we can continue higher, 750 is our next target to the upside. Then looking at the NASDAQ, much more enthusiasm there with the chip sector continuing to lead us higher. We're up over 2%. Now, we are coming up to the top of our projected trading range on the daily chart, and that target is $718.75. But on the weekly chart, our next target is 750. So that lines up with our next target for the S&P 500 on the weekly charts as well. So 750 is a big target to the upside for both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. Then looking at commodities this morning, and things are very quiet on Friday. So there's the USO. It was down on Friday. It's up this morning. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to give us a new daily buy signal. Gasoline still holding on, no change in trend there. Then looking at natural gas just trading sideways right now. I would be interested in natural gas if it was to start to break out above the flypaper channel. Otherwise, any upward movement is rather limited at the moment. Looking at energy stocks, we're on a sell signal in Toronto, we're on a sell signal in New York. Not expecting that to change on Monday. Looking at the metals, copper popped on Friday. Copper miners continue to move up. Inside day for the GLD, inside day for Canadian and New York gold stocks, inside day for the junior gold miners as well. So inside days, of course, are days of indecision. They're pause days. We saw that type of action in the silver market as well, whether you're looking at the ETF or the miners. No change in trend for any of those stocks on Friday. Looking at the Canadian most actives, we'll just go through the top 5, and there's B2 Gold making a higher high on Friday. We've got Enbridge still on a buy signal here, trading slightly lower on Friday. Looking for a close on Monday below $73.10. We closed at $73.33 on Friday, so that is certainly possible. Canadian Natural Resources, no change there. No change for Whitecap. We're still on a buy signal here. Things could change on Monday with a close below 1543. No change in trend for Suncor on Friday. Looking at the U.S. market, starting off with NVIDIA. NVIDIA finally made a higher high on Friday. We're still kind of stuck to the 1250 level. What was the low? The low was 1289 on Friday. So we are trying to get away from it. 225 is our next target to the upside for NVIDIA. Looking at Nokia, we're still trading in the channel. A close below 1205 would give us a sell signal on Monday. There's a higher high for Intel on Friday. We're right up at the top of our current projected trading range of 125. Then looking at Snap, inside day on Friday, no change there. We're still closing in the channel, so a close below $5.85 would give us a sell signal on Monday. There's American Airlines, still trying to break out above the April high and still trying to get away from the 1328 level. If we can do that and we take out the April high, then 1406 would be our next mathematical target for American Airlines. Okay, folks, that's all for this morning's presentation. It looks like it's extremely quiet out there this morning, except for the bid into crude oil, which the market is going to be watching very closely. Have a great day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Tuesday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theyuptrend.com.